Me and my mom were driving in neighborhoods just looking at houses, and there was one house we saw that we really liked, and it wasn't open, and Jennifer's name was she was just the realtor. So I called her. She called me right back, which was really nice, and she just said, come in, we'll get to know each other, bring your husband, and that was pretty much how it started. So it was kind of just the luck of the draw, actually. We did have some expectations because actually before I met Jennifer, I talked a little bit with one realtor, and he had been a little bit pushy, and he had shown us some houses, but they didn't really meet our criteria, and he was sort of forceful. So my expectations of Jennifer was that she was not going to be like that, hopefully, and I was just hoping to have a better experience with her, which I did because she really took more time on the front end going through what we wanted and basically streamlined the process for us, which was great. We looked at probably 5 or 6 different houses. We actually found one house that we really loved, but we weren't able to get it. And Jennifer, because of that fact, she tried extra hard. She, just really wouldn't give up and kept showing us houses. And, I was sort of obsessing and looking online for houses. So I would send her a link and say, I really like this one. And she would get right back to me and say, let's go see it right now. And I'd say, I'm having lunch in 15 minutes. Can we go? Like, what are you doing? Drop it. And she'd be like, all right, let's do it. Let's just run and go see it. So she was very accommodating in that way because she just really went above and beyond as far as me, because I was obsessing. I really was obsessing about finding a house. So she was very understanding and really available. My favorite part of the house is probably the kitchen, because when we lived in our apartment, it was really small and cramped, and this kitchen is really spacious, and I can be cooking while my husband's in there cooking, and it's really nice. You can actually get things done in there. A couple of traits that I would say really stood out as far as Jennifer goes and why we ultimately went with her are that she was really determined. She was really honest with us. She always was she was just very upfront about everything. If a house didn't have something we wanted, she was very upfront about it. She was also really on her toes. If I ever called her and left her a message or had a question, she would call me right back, which is probably the number one thing that I love about her, because I've worked with so many people in the past where you call them or you email them and they don't get back to you. So that's probably the top thing we loved about Jennifer. Some of the best things about Jennifer were that she was very determined in helping us find the best house we wanted and in the right price range. And she just wanted to meet all of our goals, which was great. She also, what's the word I'm thinking of? She was very responsive. So every time we called her, every time we emailed her, even if it was a very small or early Saturday morning or late some nights, which I did do that, she got back to me right away, which was amazing because a lot of people you work with don't respond to you that quickly, and that made all the difference in the world. And that's probably the number one thing with Jennifer, is she always got back to us when we wanted to talk. And she was very honest as well, which I think is a very important trait, because if we were going to go see a house and it didn't have something that we wanted, or if it wasn't the right size, she was very upfront about it, and I think that helped us to not waste time in the process. So. The value that she brought was, and this took a learning curve for me, because online you can look at pictures of houses and they give you really good descriptions, but what I found was I would pull up, let's say, 10 different listings, and I'd send them to Jennifer, and I'd say, I love these. This has a backyard. Look at this tree. It's pretty. And then she would come back and say, out of these 10, these are the 3 we should see. And I think one time I was a little obsessive about one of them. I was like, oh, I really want to see this one, though. So we went in, and the pictures online were really great, but the house was atrocious. I mean, they had a really good photographer because it was like things had been torn out of the walls, paint jobs hadn't been finished. I mean, it was just really, they were like it looked like there had been a murder or something. It was really bad. So after that, I was like, that Jennifer, she knows what she's doing. She can really help us save some time and everything like that. So whereas looking online, you can find a million houses, but having somebody who knows the business, it makes all the difference in the world. Oh, I would definitely recommend Jennifer. I would recommend her for a number of reasons, mainly because she was never pushy. I always felt comfortable with her. I knew that she was always going to call me back. I knew that she was always going to answer an email. And if I saw a house I had to see, she would see it with me right away. I mean, I think I called her once and she was out of town and she still answered her phone, which I think the rest of society knows when you're out of town, you like turn your cell phone off. If somebody's calling you about work, you're going to talk about it later. But she actually answered my phone calls, and she just went above and beyond, and you can just tell because of that she's a real professional, because she values her job and she values her customers and she knows about referrals and everything like that. So I think she just understands this business better than anybody else, and I would always recommend her. We were first-time home buyers. There were a number of surprises we encountered, but I think that really came from not knowing how it works and not knowing how one realtor works with another realtor and just really how it works. One of the biggest surprises was that this house went on the market, and then I think 5 days after it went on the market, we saw it one day, and then the next day we wanted to come back and see it, and there were also 6 other second showings. So we really had to decide quickly if we wanted this house, and Jennifer let us know that right away, and basically we ran and made an offer, and we got in between before anybody else. But she really kept us on our toes, and because there were surprises, that's why I emailed her pretty often, and she just made it so much easier, that nothing was out of the ordinary, that this is the way it works, because buying a house is kind of stressful.